The final stretch of Police State 3, Total Enslavement. Wow.
Faces and eyes rival passwords. It says soon the new Microsoft systems already have integrated for a pass key to be activated, so you can't use computers or surf the net unless you thumb scan. And the government, the Pentagon, is discussing making you do this to get online. Well, they have to stop the hackers. Turns out most of the hackers work for them. Walk offers clues to identity. They have stuff that even if you cover your face, it picks up your biometric walk. Michelin doing about electronic ID tags and tires to track you off the highways. We know what you like and we know where you live, so please buy our product. It says they're going to use all this to target you with junk mail. Many firms voluntarily hand over data on customers. Now they're officially integrating it into Total Information. St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Intrigue grows in police spy files. Turns out for decades, major cities in Denver and other areas spy on the Kiwanis Club, the NRA. They've already got you in their files, so you might as well just go ahead and fight them, folks. Go ahead and stand up against them. Or just deliver your children to hell on earth. Go ahead. Big Brother ID's coming soon. They admit the driver's license is already a national ID card. They're debating whether you're going to accept it. It's already in, folks, in almost all states. Verichip Corporation launches national Get Chip promotion, and on television, nationally, take the chips. Oh, I love the microchips. Everybody needs a chip or the kids aren't safe. And the Army War College said in 2000, they said this, we will use the threat of terrorism, we will use fear, and the media and the entire population by 2025 will accept a brain chip. I didn't write it. I know it sounds crazy, but
by 2020 when?
They're going to give you terror and terror and terror. And the more liberties you give up, the worse the terror gets. Till you're all in your little compact cities, swiping your card to leave your house, thumbprint and face scanning. And then it says taking microchips in your brain. It's a simple surgery. My God, help us. Scientists develop brain chip, BBC. It's so good for you. Florida firm seeks to microchip Americans. They've signed deals with the Bureau of Prisons in California to do it. Ohio man files $1.5 million suit against Marriott. Hidden camera found in bathroom of the bedroom against this CEO. Another thing is, a lot of companies work with the government, the feds.
Like
they've
again,
got all these
of course,
high-dollar hookers who pick you up at the bar.
Shitty
and
people
take you,
who would hide
your
a
public
camera
officials,
in a
and they get
bathroom
video
at a
on
hotel
you.
room.
And I tell you, this is really
think
crazy.
that's
There's
the
hidden
Rothschilds,
cameras everywhere,
though.
folks. They're all the Fortune 500's in on the scam big time. CIA operation. Airline security experts want to know whether what you have in your
They
heart.
Could just take one
Forget
of those
about what's in your
black and
suitcase.
white
What the
pictures
government
of
really
you in the
wants to know
bathroom.
is whether you have evil in your mind. And by the way, they now in Boston Logan Airport have put a NASA brain scanner in, and 4 other airports have put it in. It's total quackery. They've proven the old-fashioned lie detector's a fraud. They've already proven that. Now they go, oh, the brain scanner says you're a terrorist. It shows you're with them. It actually says this. The computer says you're guilty. I mean, think about this. Road cameras raise arrest, push to take number plate scanners nationwide. From England to the U.S., they're scanning your license plates as you drive. Hot car. See, it was just for traffic reports. Now it's, oh, we're going to use it for law enforcement. Yeah. See how that works? They won't put cameras on the border, and the border's being dissolved. Always remember that key point.
2025, so that would
get rid of the national
we,
sovereignty.
We had the first
now it's just road cameras. They
chip,
focus
right?
on terrorism. See, they've got to watch us, and they've got the tips program where your cable guy and your phone man tattle on you, and your neighbors do.
I don't think it's going to
now 4 New Jersey school districts test the kids when they come into school for drug residue. And bars in New York and in London are testing your hands to see if you've taken drugs before you go into the bar. I mean, it's nuts. It's just crazy. They go, oh, it's voluntary. But if you want to come in, you got to let the police check you. Oh, the government ships it in. Again, just training you that you have no rights. They now announced nanotechnology to be put in everything to track and trace us. DNA database has to cover everyone. Father of genetic fingerprinting says global approach, fairest in fight against crime. And the UN and others have called for on our ID cards to have our biometric identification number available. And all over Louisiana, they had a serial killer out, so they now just pull cars over and demand a tissue swab from the cheek, or they threaten to arrest you. Folks. Now also, in-car boxes, safety measure or spy tactic. And now admit, oh, these little boxes are already in all your cars. By the way, Homeland Security's hooked into these private billboards all over that tune into what you're listening to. Did you know that your radios in your car, AM and FM, actually transmit at a low level? And now Homeland Security tunes into what you're listening to.
Oh my God.
High-tech billboards tune into drivers' taste. And it says the billboard is listening. San Francisco Chronicle, ABC News. Here's another one, Business Week. Will your TV become a spy? Hollywood wants every new digital set to include a monitoring device.
The only people that are interested in what you're listening to on
and again,
AM,
the digital
FM
cable boxes
radio
already watch you.
Corporations.
Officials consider faster ways to alert U.S. to terrorism. They say that FEMA's already taken over all the radio and TV stations with electronic takeover hubs by Radio Link. And I work in radio. These were put in 97. They announced it as the Amber Alert, but from the start, we all knew in the radio station it was FEMA to take over. And now it says they'll just have daily announcements where the feds take over. The station doesn't get the announcement and read it like they did in the past. Now the government just takes over for you, and it says your phone's going to ring. You could get in trouble if you don't answer the special ring on your phone. Everyone will get a computer call, and if you don't answer, you might get fined or have the police come out. Everyone's got to answer now when the telescreen shout section, and they want to make the new TV sets where they automatically turn on and give you announcements. Why, it'll save the children. You starting to get the picture here? Behavioral program at Logan Airport. AP, brain scanner put in by NASA. Truth machine means liars must keep a straight face. London Independent. The Guilty Mind. The National Post of Canada. What did the brain scan to catch a murderer? Brain fingerprinting measures neural response to images from a crime scene. Ethisphere, it's a new tool of social control. Merging man and machine. British professor foresees a world in which language is obsolete and police respond to the mere thought of crime. And they're putting them in at the airports. How mobile phones let spies see our every move. Government now tracks since October 2001 all over Western Europe and the U.S. Your cell phones are satellite tracker systems. They don't have GPS in them. Some do, but all of them have a link to the cell tower that is GPS. But the border stays wide open. Tracking of cell phones calls help police catch suspect. Oh, see all these articles of how wonderful it is. Big Brother in the cereal aisle, an incredible AP article where it says they have hidden cameras, pressure plates, and face scanning cameras that build a digital algorithm, hook into the driver's license database off your face, and send you junk mail. It says because it shows that the father was looking at the baby aisle. They know now that his wife is pregnant and send him stuff before he even has the baby in his mailbox. That's just the marketing ploy, and it says it's already being tested in a bunch of grocery stores. Satellite system used by authorities to track suspects. Big Brother knows your medications. All over the country, all your medication purchases at the pharmacy are being uploaded to Homeland Security. Government openness at issue as Bush holds onto records. They're now making everything they do secret as they make everything we do public. And it's not just terror-related stuff. Use of drones in domestic surveillance advocated. They're already using them. Pentagon drones looking through our walls. Houston Chronicle. Agencies Homeland Security role for surveillance drones. Big Brother is watching farmers from the U.S. to Australia to Canada to England. If you cut down one tree under the new environmental rules, the police come out and fine you or arrest you. See, now this Cold War satellites are watching us. GPS devices increasingly are used to spy on people by the government. Satellite tags attract criminals round the clock. Oh, it's so wonderful. Woman stalked by ex-boyfriend by GPS, trapped by technology. Think what the police can do. U.S. to scrutinize every traveler. You'll have no rights. George Orwell, here we come, Declan McCullough said while writing for CNET News.
Oh, my God.
And if you want to know the model of this, it's the Finns. Finns not too concerned about friendly Big Brother. Despite government surveillance, citizens' trust of police and public servants runs high. Toronto Globe. When Tom Huppinen takes the bus to class every day, the government knows the stop he gets off on, the stop he gets knows the stop he gets on, the stop he gets off, and the time he does so. When Anna Komanen makes a call on her cell phone, the phone company not only can record her call, but it can also pinpoint where she is standing at the time she makes it.
Like, I don't disagree. Like I've said it a million times, but I don't disagree with him that some of these things are happening. I just don't think they're happening.
And when
for the reasons he thinks or being perpetrated
was pulled over with a traffic for police speeding last summer.
Now the government
they simply
is giving
punched
these
a few numbers into a database, found out how much money he makes, and fined him accordingly. And it goes on to say they've done it. This is what they already have set up. And they say, under the New World Order,
I still think that it's coming from
our
the
country's
corporations.
Setting it up right now, the vanguard of this, the Fin system. If you make $100,000 a year,
I don't think the government cares what you're listening to on the radio because
in Finland
it's all
2 years ago got a ticket. It was $18 million U.S. I mean, this is sick.
There aren't
My
any
friends,
shocking
I'm talking 90 miles an hour. I'm showing you all the mainstream news articles.
In most
this
radio
is 10 times worse than George Orwell's 1984.
territories.
It is at least 5 times worse than Brave New World. They're setting it up. They're setting it up, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, the Army says that everybody's going to accept a chip and that we're going to be in a, quote, hive mind. This is official Army War College stuff. And they're going to get it because they're going to keep ratcheting up the terror, tightening the noose over the decades to come until we're all literally in hive mind. You heard them. Look, it's already happening. They're already setting it up.
Another amazing
total
music
slavery.
Cue.
And meanwhile, the elite will be running everything. And I'm not the only one saying this. Bill Joy, co-owner and founder of Sun Microsystems, says that the elite are already in discussions to kill all of us, that the future doesn't even need us. He's a contributor to Wired magazine. This guy's a multi-billionaire. He's telling you this. I see articles in Silicon Weekly laughing about this. The little technocrats have to know about some of this because they're involved in it. And they're on these sick power trips.
Here he goes.
There's a whole future of technology that's been suppressed, and they're greedily keeping it for themselves while using parts of it to totally dominate and dumb us down. Please wake up. This is an emergency call to humanity. This is total enslavement, total dehumanization. The New World Order uses the symbol of the pyramid for a reason. It shows compartmentalization, a tiny elite having the knowledge, manipulating the mass in a compartmentalized strata. But also it's a symbol of ancient slavery, of the slaves building the idols, building the tombs of the elite. It is a symbol
I mean,
of
I was just thinking like he keeps kind of
predator
edging on
class. It's a
emotional outburst.
Joke
get like
on
a little
us,
bit every
my
once in a
friends.
while. I'm ready for
and
like
they
a
need this
full
pyramidal structure
meltdown.
so that a tiny cabal can control an incredibly complex society. They need their total information awareness network. They need their echelon system. They need their cashless society control grid to give you total enslavement. So this is an emergency broadcast, a transmission to you out there to wake up, humanity. We're slated for the ash heap of history by our own species. Now let's look at some of the examples of law enforcement abuse and criminal activity in the government so you can understand that giving total control over to these people is not advisable because, again, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Ex-prosecutor tells of ties between FBI and the mob, again, carrying out hits and other operations against the American people. U.S. Supreme Court could make Miranda warnings a thing of the past. Oh, now they can use stuff against you without reading you your rights. And to show how insane how they're expanding the scope of crime so they can net more people, cops are now going into bars all over the country to arrest drunks, to stop all tactics, prompt outrage, complaints among owners and citizenry. And they're going into nice restaurants, sports bars, and arresting people in Virginia and Austin, Texas. People who haven't even had anything to drink. They don't even give you breathalyzers now. People that are even trying to get in cabs are being arrested. It's, public intoxication. Again, it's about letting us know who's boss. The new economy is the prison grid system.
How do we tell who you guys are without your badge numbers being visible? Man, I feel like I'm in Mexico or Russia. This is great. Except it's not tropical. So there's no way for us to tell who you are. I mean, how do we tell who you guys are? We don't?
You don't need to know who I am, so don't worry about it.
We don't need to know who you are?
Go around, please.
Were you aware that that is a textbook case of a country that isn't free, where the police say you don't need to know who we are? Does that mean the people are a criminal group at large, guilty until proven innocent? I mean, you would want to know who I am. You know the state law of failure to ID, where I could be arrested if I didn't have an ID card who I was. But you're saying you won't tell us who you are? but I guess that's not really what it's about. You guys itching to use the goodies tonight? Hey, you know, it's funny how 5 years ago all the departments got a federal fund for these get-ups. But I don't think it projects dominance. I think it projects corruption. We can't see your badge numbers. What is your badge number, officer? Sir, what is your badge number? Officer. Officer Blackwell. I can't tell if it's a police officer. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the announcements tell us that if they don't have a badge number, won't present a badge, we don't know if they're police. You've heard about the women getting pulled over by the guy dressed up like a cop and getting raped. But we don't even know if these are police, ladies and gentlemen. Guys. We are still trying to find out if you are peace officers. We're unable to see any badge numbers or names.
They should have to identify at all times.
Is it simply black uniform, GRU, or is it Stasi? Can you tell us? Are you a police officer? Who are you? Are you from a foreign country? I believe you're in violation of the Texas code. Your badge number isn't evident. But you're demanding her ID, officer. You don't have your ID in plain view, but you're demanding other people's IDs? Can you explain that to us? Are you aware of the state law? But I guess it's all about violating the law. You guys violate the law from your higher up orders, but nobody else can. Is that it? Again, the military terminology, the military seizure of America. They call us civilians, and this is the military dictatorship. As corporate America sucks your pension funds and your stock markets dry and imprisons your children, this is the new black uniform of the neo-fascist state. Witness in pain for the Republic. Witness when the only jobs will be prison guards and black uniformed, unmarked government enforcers. We don't know. We don't know names. They are not wearing the ski mask this evening. The ski masks are missing. Look, he loved Patriot Act 2. Soon the government will have even more tyrannical powers, and it will not matter because a black uniform is fun to put on.
Another headline, drunks face drug test
Drinkers
as they
face
enter
drug
the pub
tests.
in England. Pub and club revelers face drug tests as soon as they enter the premises. Anyone going into a bar, whether they arouse suspicion or not, will be asked to take a swab test, which highlights any drug use. It's nuts. Oh, you want to get in the sports stadium, got to search you. Oh, want to come in the bar, we got to drug test you. Oh, we'll go ahead and arrest you. Go ahead and get you in the system. Oh, you can't own guns now because you got a misdemeanor. They want to change the law from where felons can't own to misdemeanors. They can assault criminals. Gestapo tactics at anti-war rallies. Cops show up, what's your name? We can put you in jail for that. Cops hit bars to cite suspected drunks. Judge says Chicago police must stop holding witnesses, denying lawyers. Associated Press reported they've already instituted the Patriot Act for any crime or suspected crime. They just grab you, hold you for a few weeks, don't tell anyone they have you until you confess to anything. Here in Austin, where I live, they have this personal recognizance bond where they go, we'll let you call your lawyer. We're talking for traffic offenses, warrants you haven't paid, tickets you haven't paid. I have friends that this happened to. They didn't pay a speeding ticket. They're arrested. Can I please call my family? Just sign here. And people sign, and it's list all these crimes you've committed, and then you're on probation. I mean, it's just nuts. Then they had a local newscast here in Austin where they go, oh, yeah, you're guilty until proven innocent now in Travis County.
Well, the Constitution guarantees that we're all innocent until proven guilty.
But we've learned that in Travis County, that is not always true. Nancy Wilson has a story in this KI Investigates. Nancy.
Well, the Constitution says the purpose of bail is to guarantee someone will show up for court. It also says punishment is reserved for those who have been found guilty by a judge or a jury of our peers. But we found that some people getting out of jail means having to serve the sentence before going to trial. Our right of being innocent until proven guilty is what sparked this KI Investigates.
What bothers me is that we've turned the system upside down right now. It's kind of like an Alice in Wonderland world where we do the sentencing first and then we do the trial later.
Police spy files stir up an uproar in Denver against spying on the people. And over in Australia, you're not allowed to protest the WTO. They're just shutting down the website, saying that might spur someone to rally and get violent. So you can't have a site criticizing the WTO, but it's for your safety. It's part of the democracy. Over in England, they can grab you without committing any crime, claim you're mentally ill, Soviet style. There's all sorts of bizarre police abuse cases we see where undercover cops in Detroit, Michigan, were outside a bar. A woman walked out, got in her car. The cop ran up, put her in handcuffs.
Sorry, I had to check
couldn't
on
get
Rico.
her jacket off her hand. She wasn't even resisting. He's now been fired, but it shows this mentality. He took a pocket knife out and cut one of her fingers off and half severed the other one. I mean, that just takes psychotic force to do that. And then I read these law enforcement magazines like Law Enforcement Technology for 2002, and it says, pull people over. They've got an anti-UN sticker. It says, get us out of the UN, and go ahead and take them into jail. And
he
it
got
says,
railroaded
police
in
chiefs,
Travis
don't
County.
get mad at your officers when they arrest people that have anti-UN stickers. It's safer to go ahead and arrest them.
Well, I'm not going to go to Travis County just to
I mean, it's getting
be on
nuts.
the safe side.
But they need this chilling effect so you don't resist them, because as stuff gets worse, there's going to be more resistance mounting. Louisiana police demand DNA from drivers. They just pull people over and demand their DNA because there's a killer out who's killed 4 people, and we're gonna test everybody. You give us DNA, or we're gonna arrest you right now. Checkpoints on the highway, just getting you used to it.
Seatbelt
Now they say police can keep all DNA and prints. This is in England and the U.S. Former FBI director says right-wing groups bigger threat than Al-Qaeda. Well, the right-wing groups that are doing bad things are the same as Al-Qaeda. They're all CIA. We've already proven that.
They're all CIA.
In Europe, hacker laws could make protest a crime. The new laws they're passing in this country and Europe say any action on a computer could be considered hacking, and that's life in prison, by the way, a law they just passed. Over in Beijing, they've got all these tattletale tips programs. They've got that now here. Again, we're mirroring communist China. They've used the Patriot Act. They mirrored it in Wisconsin and passed a Patriot Act in Wisconsin at the state level, and they are arresting people who, quote, sue the government or try to depose them. And the state prosecutor, when they arrested Mr. Magritz, who was suing the government, said that's not going to be tolerated. That's paper terrorism. And then they had a city manager in Milwaukee, and when they were trying to do a recall vote on her, she, in the city council session, said, can't we just declare martial law and stop all protest? And they put this in the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel like it was normal. I mean, it's just getting so nuts. Congress eases scrutiny of FBI abuses. Now, they don't care if they abuse you. In Texas, no homework at school. Tell it to the judge. They're now arresting and fining parents if the children don't finish their homework assignments. Again, school may grade parents. They've said they'll use the schools to fan out and get total control. Another headline, school cracks down on parents. Tickets issued when students miss mandatory programs. Subject to inspection up in Illinois in Belleville, people wake up with housing inspectors armed in private homes, and they will, if you have more than 3 toothbrushes and you're only licensed to have 2 in your home, they have giant fines or arrest you. And they say, we don't need warrants. Story here out of the Tucson Citizen, DUI, holiday patrols out for blood. It says they now pull people over en masse at checkpoints and say, we're going to go ahead and take your blood. Imagine in the dark by flashlight jabbing needles in your arm, and it says they did it. Now they're cracking down on homeschooling, though they have the top test scores, trying to intimidate people into not homeschooling. I mean, it's the Soviet Union. Advertisements in England attacking Bush's intelligence band. I saw this cartoon ad for a new CD and music, and it just showed Bush going, I like this CD, and sticking it in a toaster and laughing and burning it. And England said, that's hateful. You can't do that. Thought crime. 7 arrested for protest of president's brother. They tried to go into their own university auditorium with Governor Jeb Bush and had shirts that said they didn't like him, and they were arrested. In England, they're now getting rid of juries. They're now reinstating double jeopardy, where you're tried twice or 3 times for the same crime. Every facet of a free society being butchered. In Australia, they said no protest of the World Trade Organization allowed. They said protesters will be shot, and then people went ahead and defied them, and they didn't because they stood up to them. Good job. Europeans have now outlawed net hate speech, which means any criticism of the government, and a new term, xenophobia. And a British farmer was arrested for just criticizing German produce. They said that was hateful. Cameras mold for neighborhood watch. Now your local tattletale can dial into the local cameras and tattle on you. More eyes for the globalists. See, they need us to be part of this for it to be successful. And we hear this comment by local government. Montgomery County draws on civilians looking to help police. See, and they call us civilians. Why is the local county commissioner's court or the sheriff calling you a civilian? Are they military? Yes, it's military martial law, my friends. This is the definition of it. All of you
Rico being
are considered to be criminals, according to the new training that our police have been given. Our police have been militarized. They're calling us civilians.
You want to put back up on his perch.
Saying now that if this country goes to a red alert, you will not be allowed to leave your home. If you do, you'll be considered an enemy. They're saying that they'll keep your children at the public schools and relocate them to secret locations and that you can't come pick them up. This in the Washington Post and the daily papers in New Jersey. I'm getting school letters faxed to me from rural Arkansas where they show them red alert drills and don't give the children food that day so it's more real for them. And then the white buses pull up and the U.S. Army practices loading them onto the vehicles. I mean, this is all documented. It's right out of hell on earth, right out of the Twilight Zone. And let's get into concentration camps and internment camps.
He's got a second
North Carolina congressman said that the Japanese internment camps were good in America and that maybe we need them for American citizens. Under a red alert, the Courier Post reported that the head of anti-terrorism, Sid Casperson, in New Jersey, in a press conference with the governor, James McGreevey, said if the nation escalates to red alert, which is the highest in the color-coded readiness against terror, you will be assumed by authorities to be an enemy if you so much as venture outside your home. And it goes on to say a red alert would also tear away virtually all personal freedoms to move about and associate. Folks, this is textbook maximum martial law. I mean, in the old Soviet Union or in China today, you can go out at night. And so now it's not a need for a terrorist attack. It's just go to a red alert. We won't let you have your kids. We're going to bus them to FEMA centers. And we saw articles back in '99 where they were doing these drills with FEMA at your public schools. And they go on to say, you literally are staying home is what happens unless you're required to be out. And then we interviewed the county commissioner, Dave Schultz. It was first reported in KXLY. It's the Okanagan County Commissioner, and he saw federal documents that their national park there is to be used as a concentration camp. Back in 2002, there was articles in Newsmax. They found the federal purchase orders, the bid offers for 3 1 million man relocation centers. And by the way, I've been faxed internal documents from the U.S. Postal Service in Kansas City and Austin where federal employees won't be allowed to leave during a red alert, and they'll have armed guards that won't let them leave. This is all just training you that the government can do whatever they want to you and your children whenever they want. I mean, this is a military dictatorship, but it's all to keep you safe from terror. But it all mirrors what we see in North Korea. They do the exact same thing in North Korea.
I thought he was.
And then, of course, the LA Times reported camps for citizens, Ashcroft's hellish vision. Attorney General John Ashcroft announced desire for camps for U.S. citizens he deems to be enemy combatants, has moved him from merely being a political embarrassment to being a constitutional menace. State prepares for bioterrorism. Executive orders give governor additional powers. Rocky Mountain News. State of Colorado can seize antibiotics, cremate disease-ridden corpses, and under extreme circumstances, dig mass graves under executive orders drafted for the use in the event of bioterrorism attack.
They could
There's an attack, you know it's going to be the government. And who runs all this when they're looking for snipers, which the Northwoods U.S. government terror plan calls for, U.S. government to launch sniper attacks, then frame patsies actually says
all
that.
of these things though, would be
Northcom, new
terrifying
military command, is
if you
to run all
actually
this. The
believe
surveillance, the camps, everything. And they've
everything
used them
that
in their
Alex
hover
Jones
drones
is saying,
and
like,
everything, even in the sniper case, which they're behind,
and you could see that in that New World Order
ex-prisoners may get
documentary. You can see
policing
how
roles.
consumed
They're
some
getting
of the,
so
some of
desperate
the
in
people
Europe,
were.
they've now started doing this in the U.S. quietly. They're
With the
recruiting
cause.
violent offenders to run this. Stalin did the same thing. I mean, folks, they're going right down the line. Maximum tyranny, check. Maximum tyranny.
Cue.
Federal taking over the churches with the faith-based initiative. Federal touchscreens going in, federally funded. Federal judges over all the elections. I mean, it's just hiring violent paramilitary offenders to, I mean, shake you down because they're criminals. They'll do this. And the sitcoms and the movies show the cops torturing. Tonight here at the studio shooting this, they had on that L.A. Law show, and they were torturing some guy to get answers out of him. I mean, you can't turn the TV on without them warping your minds. UK may cordon off cities after terror attacks, lock down cities, army out at protests, filming demonstrators. Pentagon considers mass graves. U.S. factory boss guilty of slavery. Doctors bill forced vaccinations. Force you to take these vaccinations. The good news is, though, the LA Times reported out of the 20 major cities, Chicago, New York, all of them, only 296 people, medical workers, doctors have agreed to take this dangerous vaccine. They say locking the cities down will cause an atmosphere that'll spread infectious disease. Now they've taken the smallpox shot, it's spreading off the arm onto other people. Citing dangers, experts warn against vaccinating children. Minnesota State has mass smallpox vaccine plan, but they can't make you do it now because the police and firemen and doctors are refusing because they go, wait a minute, the smallpox shot doesn't even protect me against weaponized smallpox, and it only spreads from touch. If I wear masks and gloves, I can't get it. Why do you want me to take this? See, folks are waking up. They want to set a precedent.
Folks are waking
up.
They're okay wearing a mask and gloves.
And there are major scientific reports, and almost all the major vaccines have cancer viruses in them, and a hormone added that when given to babies attacks the cerebral cortex during brain development. It's like in Brave New World where they X-ray the eggs, you know, to dumb people down. I mean, you couldn't write something this bizarre. People wouldn't believe it. But they first announced they were going to vaccinate 11 million of us. Now it's like 296 in all the major cities combined. That's good news. Another report here, doctors have been bribed and bullied parents into MMR jabs.
Oh boy,
that's because 99% of the British people now believe the MMR jab is brain-damaging children. In a major poll, smallpox vaccinations start poorly. Again, it reports that out of 20,000 they wanted to take it in Connecticut, only 4 healthcare workers showed up to get it. That's AP. Bush proposes producing more bioterror vaccines. They want to set this up, this Homeland Security bureaucracy, to give you dozens of forced bioterror vaccines. Anthrax jabs mutiny widens amid fears of cancer sterility. The troops are all refusing because so many of them are dropping dead and can't have children after they take it. This is all part of eugenics programs. Anywhere they can force you to do it, schools, military, they're doing it. And now they want to turn the whole country into a prison.
This movie is just bizarre to me. Like,
go to sperm banks.
This just seems like an episode
because
of
they've heard that it makes them sterile. U.S.
I don't know if
troops.
you've ever watched the full episode.
Los Angeles,
or not,
Associated
that's
Press.
What it feels like.
Justice Department seeks to seal vaccine papers. Thousands of lawsuits about brain damage and cancer viruses and hormones added as part of this Nazi bioterror attack launched by the government in the last few decades as the IQ drops in the population. This has been designed. It's Brave New World stuff, textbook. Homeland bill covers smallpox shot liability. New vaccine clause angers parents of autistic children. Scientists say bioterror threat exaggerated. Top scientists said, why force people to take smallpox? Doesn't even protect them. Anthrax jab rejected by half of British troops, saying it's dangerous. Forced vaccination haunts Gulf vets. Wired News, fresh fears over child vaccines. Vaccine critics gain allies in legislatures. Alzheimer's vaccine linked to strokes. Increase in autism baffles scientists. All children may be vaccinated against hepatitis B for no reason. Testing the first AIDS vaccine. They discuss making it mandatory. Hospitals balk at smallpox vaccine program. Hospital workers refuse to take it. There's no law in England to take the MMR jab. But doctors have been ordered, they want to be paid. They have to deny care to people. And they won't take the shots. And they do the same thing here in America. It's not the law, but your doctors will refuse because the AMA told them they had to. Well, that's not even true. It's criminal.
It's getting worked up.
My friends, I'm desperate to warn you. I'm desperate for you to research this like I do. Every waking hour, desperately trying to warn America. Please check out Infowars.com every day. You know, people, I don't want to make my films 3 hours long. You know, some of them are. Look at this stack. This is what we didn't have time to cover in this film. And frankly, there's a whole other stack over there. I mean, look at these. Foreign troops, land grabs, genetic engineering, God, cancer viruses, admitted protegene. I'm naming the companies. Right here in Texas, 96 planting locations, corn jumping into soybeans, propaganda, mind control, thought control, homeland security, the economy, Second Amendment, fake terror alerts, government sex trade. Oh, man. Oh, God. DynCorp caught with a UN kidnapping.
I don't have any more time to talk to you, though, folks, because there's an arbitrary time limit on this.
It's just calmly admitted. AP Reuters, and you never heard about it on the news. I just... Borders, immigration, getting rid of our sovereignty. Motives, what the globalists get out of all this. Cashless society control grid.
There you go, cashless society.
I mentioned cashless society control grid, but it's kind of covered in Homeland Security.
The suspect, Marc Dutroux, is accused of raping and killing several children. Initial shock at the killings in Belgium soon turned to anger at alleged failings in the police investigation and suspicions of a high-level cover-up.
Yes,
Belgium's most notorious prisoner, Marc Dutroux, facing charges of kidnap, rape and murder, but yet to be tried after 6.5 years in custody. A trial moved one step closer after a court in Neufchâteau ruled there was sufficient evidence to put before a jury. His wife, too, faces trial for her part in Belgium's worst ever paedophile scandal. The Dutroux case has long been a source of pain and embarrassment for Belgium. 2 8-year-old girls were found dead in one of Dutroux's properties in 1996. They'd been starved to death. The bodies of 2 teenage girls, both raped and murdered, were found in another Dutroux
let's
property.
hope Police State 4 gets back
From the very
to its
beginning,
roots,
the police investigation was dogged by mistakes and something more ominous, the appearance of an official cover-up. 300,000 protesters gathered 6 years ago to condemn the handling of the Dutroux affair. Many still believe the inquiry was blocked because Dutroux's paedophile ring reached to the very heart of the Belgian establishment.
Maybe I'll just flash hundreds of these on the screen. I don't know how we're going to do it. Government sex trade. Government held in net pedophile inquiry. Hundreds of police involved. Government officials in sex trafficking ring arrested. Child porn swoop, 90 police. Woman judge ran sex ring that killed boy age 5. South Africa at center of child sex trade. Florida can't find 1,000 kids in state custody. DCF may not know if foster kids die. State child welfare role includes employees who have criminal past, people that run the data thing in Florida, convicted pedophiles, missing kids. DynCorp involved in the kidnapping of 200,000 women and children. Here it is, Scotland. Bosnian sex trade, shames UN. They got DynCorp has diplomatic immunity in this. It says because they were working with them, they fly them out to slave brothels, full hotels, and cruise ships in Israel, Saudi Arabia, all over Asia. UN shamed for refugee sex scandal. Sold into slavery, scandal of children smuggled into Britain. Ex-UNA may face federal sex rap. Israel has brisk trafficking women used as sex slaves. Parliamentary report says
slavery ring thriving in the Holy Land. Who would have
Portugal's elite linked to pedophile ring. London Guardian. They dug up all these dead bodies in the Dutch royal family's backyard. And in France and Burgundy, they found all these hundreds of buried women. And they escaped. Some of them escaped. And they got connected to federal judges. INS knew about molesters. Record show did nothing. Scouts to get free condoms at the International Jamboree. It says 20,000 boy and girl scouts to be given condoms. Flying them overseas, some giant sex orgies. And then they say, oh, we got to do something. Surgical tags planned for sex offenders. Silicone chip inserted on the skin. See, the microchip just for them now. They create the crisis, offer the solution. FBI's new list of British pedophiles. Portugal's elite linked to pedophile ring.
Print some pamphlets.
All these UN heads connected to this stuff. I mean, folks, it just goes on and on. There's no way to cover all this. And it's the most bizarre, sickening stuff You can imagine. You can imagine. The CIA just doesn't run drugs, folks. They run little children and women. It is as sick as it gets. Folks, you got to research this. You got to get involved. You got to warn people. You got to become leaders in your area. You got to warn everyone. You got to fight this new world order. You got an evil, parasitic predator class. Their very nature means they just get more and more evil by the minute. Good people got to band together and get involved and get our pitchforks together and stop these people. Please research what I've said. Please stand up for humanity and fight against this total enslavement. God bless you all.
Oh my Lord, what a finale.
But the victory will be more than just politics as far as I'm concerned. The victory will be an endorsement of a philosophy. I believe in my heart of hearts the victory in 1998 is going to be good for Texas, and that's the most important thing about the campaign.
Sir, shouldn't we abolish the Federal Reserve and the CFR?
It's like,
that's the real reality that none of you will talk about, and most of you are members.
People.
That's what's destroying this country, Governor. Don't you stand for America, sir? What about the Federal Reserve and the CFR? You people are being lied to. This country's been taken over by Europe, and I'm being drug out. Laugh at it. It's funny, isn't it?
Let's grab an arm.
Large building in most other cities would be one of the largest buildings in town, probably. Trade Center Building 7 has collapsed. Now, here we're going to show you a videotape of the collapse itself.
Describe that.
Now we go to videotape, the collapse of this building.
It's amazing.
Amazing, incredible, pick your word. For the third time today, it's reminiscent of those pictures we've all seen too much on television before when a building was deliberately destroyed by well-placed dynamite to knock it down.
We have to learn to say no. If you want to put a stop to this, we have to educate the police, and one of the most important elements is getting control of our local governments, getting people elected, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, who will simply say, no, we're not going to have black tanks driving around and helicopters looking through walls and police checkpoints with the military. We're not going to allow that because we've seen this escalation. And Americans have to learn to say no. They have to put their foot down and say, I have rights, and I'm going to stand on those constitutional rights. So the bottom line is, you're the Paul Reveres out there. If you don't get involved, if you don't get on the front lines, if you don't ring the alarm bells, then you're going to get what you deserve. You're going to get tyranny.
I'm ringing the alarm bells.
So everybody out there,
what else could I do?
It's not enough to just watch this show and get educated.
I'm ringing the
you
alarm
need to get
bells
involved
for the
yourself,
globalists,
and that starts with getting educated on your rights, educated on history, and then getting motivated, getting involved locally, at the state level, and at the federal level, and put your foot down.
Well, there you have it. Police State 3, total enslavement. I'm not a big fan of it. I thought it was entertaining in places, but this is kind of exactly what I don't want from Alex Jones content. I don't want just this. It's funny at times, like I said, but I think it's just, I want the interviews, man on the street, interacting with people, and then minor stretches of the looking through all the documents. So